The Arizona Diamondbacks are going to the World Series to face off against the Texas Rangers, just like we all predicted before the season and heading into the playoffs. Man, my predictions were terrible. We're going to talk about their magical run to the pennant as well as their matchup versus the Rangers. And of course, we have to break down one of the biggest choke jobs in recent MLB history, this time courtesy of the Phillies. But hey, the good news is Dog Russo, he has to retire because the Diamondbacks won. All of that in today's MLB Recap. And just a reminder, Recap is presented by SeatGeek. Use code Fuzzy to save 20 bucks off your tickets. And also use code Fuzzy when you download Underdog Fantasy. They will match your first deposit up to $500. It's free money. So before we break down Diamondbacks and Phillies game number 7, let's talk about some breaking news. Bob Melvin, he is leaving the Padres. He is now the new manager of the San Francisco Giants, and he's actually a native of the San Francisco area. I believe that Palo Alto is by San Francisco. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me, but he played for the Giants back in the 80s. His nickname back when he played for them was Bay Area Bob. This dude is a 3-time manager of the year. Honestly, in my little humble fuzzy opinion, I feel like the Giants are gearing up for a spending spree going into 2024. I feel like because they lost out on Arson Judge, if you know, you know, they lost out on Carlos Correa, they basically have unlimited funds and they are lacking a true face of the franchise. If they can grab a Shohei Ohtani to have in that lineup every single day, I know he's not going to be pitching until 2025, but the Giants, I mean, with Bob Melvin at the helm and Shohei in that lineup, they could be so good. All right, here we go. The two best words in sports, Game 7, do or die, win or cry, and this was the Corbin Carroll experience. He got on and immediately stole a bag, and he ended up scoring for the game's first run. Arizona, they went up, and okay, they're not up anymore. Alec Boehm, he seemed to have found his swing in game 6 and 7, unlike the rest of the Phillies lineup. And look at friend of the channel, Bryson Stott clutching up. That double scored Boehm in the 4th, and the bank was rocking. Brandon Pfaadt, he was fighting his way through the first 4 or 5 innings. He allowed those 2 runs, but can we just show off his 7 punch-outs? His pitches are disgusting. He has had some of the nastiest stuff in these playoffs. That sweeper just falls off the face of the earth. The sky is the limit for this kid. Same for Corbin Carroll, who tied it right back up. He had 3 base hits and 2 stolen bases in game number 7. He scored 2 runs as well. That second coming off the bat of rookie Gabriel Moreno. Arizona, they went up 3-2, and to be honest with you guys, this game felt completely over at that point. Like, I hate to sound like a backwards hat-wearing TikToker, but the vibes just fell off. Again, Philly, they were flailing at everything. They couldn't capitalize at all, and full credit, and you kind of tip your cap to the Arizona bullpen because they put Philly in a blender in this game and the last few games. Corbin, he made it 4-2 with a sac fly. In Arizona, they didn't need it because Kevin Ginkel, he was all types of nasty. He had 3 strikeouts in yesterday's game. Paul Sewald's dominant October continued with an easy 1-2-3 9th inning, and the Diamondbacks, they are going to the World Series. The Snakes are back in it, and they will be facing off against the Texas Rangers. It is crazy to say that out loud, but a crazy fun fact from Fuzzy, this makes 9 times in a row that a team that eliminated the Brewers in the playoffs made the World Series. So just in case you guys were not aware, if you're a fan of an NL team and you beat the Brewers in 2024 in the playoffs, yeah, you're going to the World Series. Now, the one byproduct of the Phillies getting knocked out in kind of epic proportions, because in my opinion, the Phillies did choke this series. Braves fans, they're having a field day on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. That place is a toxic sludge cesspool wasteland. Do not go on that app. It is bad. But Braves fans are trolling Phillies fans. And speaking of trolling, Arizona players, they were trolling Dog Russo because Dog Russo said this.
I've been wrong in Arizona from day one. I'm stunned they beat Milwaukee. I thought they'd get swept by the Dodgers. I never thought they'd even go back to Philly for a game 6. I'll try it one more time. I would not be stunned if they won tonight. I would be floored. And I'll say this right now. I'll say this right now. And Bob Raceman, write it down. If they win the next 2 days, they win the next 2 games and win this series in 7 games, if they win, I will retire on the spot.
And in response, the Diamondbacks players went back to the clubhouse and they said this. Bad dog, bad dog, bad dog, bad dog, bad dog, bad dog. Again, they were clowning on him because Dog said that he would retire on the spot if the Snakes won game number 7, and of course he's not going to retire because he's currently on first take. It's just so cool that both the Diamondbacks and the Rangers went from losing 100 plus games within the last few years to being in the World Series. So the A's, the Rockies, you guys no longer have excuses. You can right the ship in a few years in the game of baseball. you have to spend some money to do so. Now let's go ahead and talk about why the Phillies lost this series, because everyone kind of thought that the series was over after the first few games. I'll throw my hand up there. I'm in that conversation. I thought that it was completely done. To me, in my opinion, the Phillies in games 6 and 7, they played some of the most selfish baseball I've ever seen, and I'm not trying to accuse anyone of being selfish, but Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, I love all of those guys, but they went 1 for 28 in the final 2 games. Castellanos, he had 1 hit in the entire series. It just really looked like the Phillies core lineup, they were selling out for the fastball and they were chasing and flailing like crazy. That's what Arizona's new and improved bullpen does the best. They get you to chase at that sinker inside so you miss the barrel, but then you're going to be flailing at the curveballs, the changeups, the sweepers and sliders away. That's why Kevin Ginkel and Paul Sewald and Brandon Pfaadt, they all looked unstoppable, because they could really hone in on the inside part against righties and then make them chase at sliders and sweepers outside. It was masterful. It was actually impressive to watch. And again, if you're a Phillies fan, you can't really do anything but tip your cap, because you got put in a blender. You faced the buzzsaw Arizona pitching staff. Now, if you guys want to see a full video of me ranking the best player at every single position going into the World Series, leave a like and subscribe. But for right now, let's take a look at the season series between the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. Arizona, they went 3-1 against the Rangers this season. As you can see, they lost the first game back in, I think this was August or something like that, but they lost 4-6. Every other game they won. So aside from the 12-7 game, every single game was pretty close, so this should be a fun World Series. The reason why the Diamondbacks won, they scored 26 runs in 4 games. They only hit 259 as a team, but they hit 7 home runs. They had 35 base hits in 4 games. They only stole 3 bases, so it's not like they were playing legit Arizona Diamondback baseball, and it's kind of surprising that they won 3 games considering the Rangers, they hit 300 in 3 of the 4 games. Like, I don't know how they lost. Now, staying with the subject of the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, because these two teams are facing off, these two teams, I hate even saying this out loud, but they're not technically national teams, where the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Phillies, the Astros, the Dodgers, they're going to bring in more of the casuals, and a lot of people are worried that the sport of baseball might be cooked going forward because of the new playoff format, that when you give baseball teams more games and more opportunities to cause mayhem and chaos, teams like the Diamondbacks are going to slip through the cracks, because they only won 84 games and now they're in the World Series because they played their best baseball when it mattered the most, and they, dethroned teams like the Brewers and the Dodgers and the Phillies. I mean, when you're beating those 3 teams in a row, you're a good baseball team, regardless of when you get hot. I mean, I can make the argument that the Diamondbacks had an insane first half, and yes, they fell off in the second half, but they showed that they were an up-and-coming team all year long, even dating back to the second half of last year. So the Diamondbacks, I mean, they're really good on paper. They have Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt showed off his skills, and they have a really good bullpen. I don't understand why people are still using the playoff scheme as a reason to write off the Diamondbacks or the Rangers. Like, they're good baseball teams. I mean, heck, the Rangers are doing this with an injured Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom not being on the team. So to me, the Diamondbacks and the Rangers are only going to get better, but I like this series. I don't care that they're not national teams like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers or the Astros. Sure, they're up and coming and they were terrible a few seasons ago, but you got to tip your cap. They went from being bottom feeders to being on top of the world. I love this. All right, today's Immaculate Grid, we have the Rangers and the Orioles. I could go Nelson Cruz, Rugen Odor, but we're going to go Kyle Gibson because I feel like that's going to be a lower rarity pick. 6%. Let's try and get every single one under 10%. A 30-plus home run season for the Orioles. I feel like Ryan Mountcastle might be a sneaky play. Ryan Mountcastle, 1%. 300-plus career home runs for the Orioles. So we have Cal Ripken Jr., we have Frank Robinson. I don't remember if Chris Davis got to 300, so we'll come back to that one. Again, I really want to stay under 10%. The Rangers and the Red Sox. Rangers and the Red Sox. I have Nathan Eovaldi, but I feel like a lot of people are going to use that. I might have to come back to that one because, yeah, Nathan Eovaldi's the only guy coming to my head. As soon as I finished that sentence, Adrian Beltre came to mind, but I'm going to save that one. A 30-plus home run season for the Red Sox. Check this one out. This is, I know ball. Hanley Ramirez had 1%. This is my best one yet, at least for the start. The Rangers and the Phillies. Do you guys remember that Hunter Pence? Oh, also Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee would work for this as well. I'm going to go Hunter Pence because I feel like a lot of people might not remember he played for both teams. Hunter Pence, please be under 10. 2%. All right, we got to keep this up. A 30 home run season for the Phillies. MVP, no, not Ryan Howard. Jimmy Rollins, I think he was 30 on the dot when he won his MVP. Oh, this is looking good. A 300-plus home run career. He also played on the Orioles. I could go Rafael Palmeiro. I could go with, actually, let's go Eddie Murray. Please be under 10%. Please be under 10%. I should have gone with Babe Ruth for this one. Didn't he end his career in Baltimore? I'm going to go Babe Ruth for the Red Sox and 300 home runs. Let's see. Okay, I still would have been under 10%. 300 plus career home runs for the Phillies. I'm going to go Scott Rowland, or maybe I could go with, Scott Rowland. I'm so mad at myself. And then Rangers and the Red Sox. What about this guy? Didn't Rob... I'm pulling this one out. I just botched it, didn't I? 0.1%. That could have been my best ever. Why did I go Eddie Murray? But that does it for today's MLB recap. If you watched all the way until the end, I just want to say thank you very much for your support. Leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new, and I'll catch you in the next video, which is probably going to be ranking the best players at every position in the World Series. So stay tuned for that.